Okay, hi guys. Good evening.
8 बज गया शुरू
Hi
कर देते हैं
Shashank. Hello Shivku.
Hello.
How are you all?
Hello.
Okay, good evening. Good evening. पहले ही I will just pick up. I think a couple of students talking about the portal thingy, guys. Recommendation है. We've seen कि portal का थोड़ा ना usage जो है वो has not been completely ethical. There have been multiple people who've been using it, so we've ensured this logout and login wala thing, which means if you want to stay logged in, just tick on the remember me wala part, and it will be solved. That's that for that particular question. Upfront ये question लेके solve करते हैं, and let's get into what today's session is all about, which is the All India Open CDC Mock 3, and going ahead and analyzing that. Shashank, Shivku, I think Jiju has
has
also
also
just
joined.
entered. Yeah, lovely. So Jiju's also entered. What was your first opinion of Open CDC? I'm sure you all have all had a look at it. Before we get to what the PPT states, what is your overall take, Shashank? Since you looked at DILR and Quant.
I think DILR was a little bit on the easier side that we tried a lot. QA was on a little moderate one, थोड़ा सा moderate to difficult था इस बार, लेकिन I think people have performed well in this mock. जितना expectation था उसी के आसपास ही score आए हैं, ऐसा नहीं है कि expectation से बहुत ज़्यादा deviate हुआ है. So I think it was good.
Perfect. Shivku, your take, especially Quant, along
Quant,
the lines
it looks I thought Quant was not easy, but the score seems to say otherwise. I think I thought it would, I mean, the 99 percentile would be somewhere around 33, but it seems to be one question
31.
easier than what I thought. Otherwise, we wanted
31,
English,
31.
I mean, sorry, DILR to be a little on the easier side, right? Similar to the last
CAT
CAT.
24.
And together we wanted a 99 percentile to hit around somewhere close to 62, 63 when you take the two sections together. So that was the idea.
Quant plus DLR. Perfect.
Yeah.
Jijo, your take? It seems like you just come from the gym. Just ran in. One time. Jijo, you there?
Jijo is logged in from a hotel.
Jijo is stuck. Jijo, you there? Can you hear?
I think the net is creating problems here.
You're audible now, yeah. Your take on VARC, design of the paper, when you were setting it, the design.
Design was as usual. I think the outcome was different. I think I think in general there were probably two reading comprehension passages which kind of created problem. So the students were looking at all the 24 questions. They could not sort of, at least they picked up a few more negatives than usual. So that led, I think, the 99 percentile to be
I think around 35 overall.
Around 35, which is probably something that might be close to a 2023 story, which was, I believe, was 37. So if I look at sort of this paper in terms of in general the score distribution that I see, the score distribution is probably very, very close to a 2023. So that's so it was, of course. So if I look at the paper, it turned out to be slightly more. At least the score suggests that it's slightly more difficult than at least what it was last year. Okay, so that's
sure. Sounds good. Shashank, if you could just go back one slide, just look at the CAT 21, 22. Yeah, go back. The first slide, perhaps. 21, 22, 23. Yeah, this one. So this is what Jijo was basically talking about. If you look at it from the perspective of CAT 23, I think a 99 overall was 76, and that's where verbal was roughly, if I'm not wrong, almost 50% of that, around 37, and Quant plus DI, was close to about 37, 38 as well. So perfect. So I think that was the design of the paper. Going by the marks that students have scored, the design seems to have been a little quite spot on, other than probably verbal, where it's about 2 questions lesser than a 99 percentile last year, and maybe spot on to CAT 2023 like Jiju was speaking. If we have a look at the 3 open mocks that have happened till now, Shashank, if we move to the next slide, we'll probably realize that this current open mock and the previous one, which was CDC 2, very similar at the right at the top end, which is a 99.5 percentile. But as you keep going down, you see a disparity, which basically leads me to believe, at least my take there was, probably the number of sitters here was slightly higher, which is why that 80 percentile has moved to a 47. Maybe the number of sitters across section students realized, अच्छा this set में ये 3 क्वेश्चन निकल रहे हैं, ये सेट इजी है, क्वांट में अच्छा ये 4 क्वेश्चन मुझे दिख रहे हैं, VARC में maybe like Jiju was saying, maybe 1 RC or a few verbal questions which I should categorically pick up. So I think the number of sitters, if we compare it to the previous one, slightly higher. We see almost a 10 mark difference at the lower end, but at the upper end, as you go towards a 99.5 or so, the difference is down. It's down to roughly just about 1 question overall. So that was my take. If I look at it from the perspective of the 3 open CDCs. Shashank, Shivku, Jijo, anything you would like to add here?
I think it was DI was a couple of questions.
That's quite
easier,
comprehensive. I think I concur with you.
So DI was a little bit easier, a couple of questions than the last Open CDC, and QA was, I think, it is little bit tougher as compared to the previous one. Or if you look at we have 2 different data. One data is our center data, and second data is the home data. Home data is more or less same. Okay. Sorry, home data has decreased as well as center data has decreased in QA. Couple of questions. In DI, it has gone a little easier. So I think more or less जो है वो overall sum same ही आ रहा है उसमें. So it didn't impact the percentile a lot. So if you see the overall 99.5 and 99, there is not Open CDC 2, Open CDC 3. There is not much difference in 99.5. There is only 1 question is here. Sorry, yes, 1 question is here. In 99, there is a disparity, but in 99.5, I think it's some similar score as compared to Open, Mock 2 and Mock 3.
Yeah, so maybe we can go to what you were stating, which is the at the center and at the home differentiation, because I think that's going to be very, very important. We can probably come back to the sectional when we look at the section. Maybe go to the center and home. Yeah, I think this is the interesting slide. This is the slide which forces us to keep conducting these mocks at external centers, hoping that students realize that there is a marked difference between online and offline. I was just having a chat with Shashank, before the session started. I think the difference in the last mock was a little bit more stark. It was close to almost 19-20 marks, maybe take from home and take at the center, especially in quant where it was almost about 10-11 marks. This time the difference isn't that high, but still 10 marks is huge. If you look at it from the context of the exam. If you look at it from a quant perspective, 35, 31, that's 4 marks, for students at home vis-a-vis those at the center. DILR is about one question, that's about 3 marks. And, even in VARC, it's about 4 marks. So it's kind of stagnated at 4-3-4, roughly, if you look at it from that perspective. And overall, there is a difference of close to almost about 8-9 marks. So almost about 10 marks, actually, 78 to 88. So this is, I think, interesting. And, we can't harp enough on the fact that if not this data, then I don't know what is going to force you all to understand that you should be writing mocks at external centers, because there are a lot of tangibles and intangibles that affect your performance. And in fact, even if you go ahead and have a look at the top 15 scorers in this mock, 12 are from home and 3 are from the center. So that difference is also humongous. It's not half and half. It's almost we're talking close to almost about 80% of the students being take home and only 20% being from the center. So I think there are certain things that students should probably keep in mind, and that will hopefully help them. We are planning 1 or 2 more mocks. Do go ahead and make use of that. Jijo, Shivku, your take. I think you all spoke about this in the previous mock as well. Your take on why this is happening and what students can learn from it.
I think it is just the pressure, right? I think, even if I am not implying any wrongdoing by a student, it's just that if you're sitting at your home and doing the paper, you're going to be at ease with the conditions. You might have your best laptop or best computer with you, right? You're used to it. and you go to a center, I think you'll have to put up with a lot of stuff that you may not necessarily like. So I think a difference of 1 or 2 is bound to happen. 6 to 8 marks is bound to happen in outside home centers.
Yeah. And if I'm looking at what is written in the chat, people are finding it difficult to buy that students have gone ahead and scored such high marks. I can name 2 3 students whom I have had a chat with who are among the top 30 40 scorers, and people are actually scoring this because it might feel like it is very very difficult. But the mock overall, at least if you break it down into the concepts that were asked and break it down into how you could utilize options and whether you were identifying the right sets or not, did not seem as difficult as some of you all probably in the chat window are pointing out. Somebody is asking about that 173 mark guy as well, Shivku. We were discussing that this morning, if you remember.
Yeah.
That who is this person who's gone ahead and scored 173? Well, yeah, I think freak. Even we were discussing probably a freak who's gone ahead and done that, and kudos to him. Jija, I think he's your student of VRC 1000. Who's gone and scored 173. Kudos to him. A very very high score. 56 in DILR is what I was, quite impressed by. That's like attempting all sets, getting 20, attempting at least
Impressed.
20 questions.
And
Impressed.
Quite
Don't say
impressed.
depressed.
59 into he got.
Yeah, quite impressed. I was like, acha, that is great. Perfect. Let's probably move on to the VRC section. Yeah, Jijo, maybe over to you to
Sure.
look at the VRC section. Shashank, if we could move there. Yeah.
All right. So, yeah. So, let me do one thing. Okay. So Shashank, can you push the presentation up?
Just give me a moment.
Okay. So, the what a few in general, at least from a design point of view, with respect to this test, is something where I want to actually start with. So, if you look at, let's say, from the story of cat from 2017.
Jijo, your voice is not clear. Your voice is not completely clear. Yeah.
One second. Is it better now, or is it worse? Bad?
Yeah, it's better. It's better. Not worse.
Okay, I'm just going to put the mic very close to my mouth, and I'll probably scream. So if I look at the story of let's start with the story of reading comprehension from 2017 2024. In terms of, let's say, the sources from which was picked up, 2017 2018, all the sources were essentially articles. When you generally look at articles, let's say from any of these magazines, like even Smithsonian magazine, at least it is written for the consumption of a general public. Now, you may not be interested in reading the article, but at least it's general public. But it was in 19 when you started seeing the things taken for books. In fact, in 2020, 2021, you saw a lot of journals and encyclopedias creeping in, even about 2022. And then when we come back to 2024, last year.
Jijo, the voice is still not clear. The voice is still not clear. I think quite a few students pointing that out. Shivku, you are on mute if you're saying something.
No, I think he's in a hotel. I think that's the best that you could probably generate.
Okay.
No, but it's still the same mic.
This is better.
Okay. So I hope now it's better. So what I was saying is that in 2024, all these were still articles, and the passage was not sort of difficult. So if I look at from the design, at least that was our understanding of the design. All these are essentially about picked up from in general article. One was obviously a review of a particular book, which was kind of a little dense. There was a considerable. There was not even a huge number of logical questions. If you look at net. So at least sort of the idea of the design was to give the paper at least in sources and everything. That's like a 2024. Even if you look at the passages that were used, all the articles that were used, even for something like verbal ability is more or less the same. What ended up happening, I think that what ended up happening is this. That if I look at somebody who did almost 99.5 percentile, it was pretty low. But you can still compare some of these scores to maybe a 2023 or a 2022 kind of a story. But if I look at overall, something did happen. So in this test. So just 1 second. Just okay, that's better. And if I go and have a look at the percentage accuracy and percentage attempt, and bifurcate between VA and reading comprehension. If I kind of look at VA, one of the things that at least I've seen in this particular test compared to other mocks that I've seen, the attempts I can see good attempts, at least 83%, 80%, 83% attempts happening. So this was at least something, but then obviously the attempts have gone down. I have no idea why people just didn't attempt the sort of the last question. So if I in general look at VA, you had sort of medium level questions, but a lot of these questions were accessible. Even these questions is almost more than 50% of at least the test takers got it right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There were at least 5 questions which were accessible for the students to score. There were of course about 3 sort of questions which went a little bad. So my sense is that the people who did well in this particular test would have very likely have made use of the VA questions, and probably in paragraph somebody probably got all the questions correct, picked up at least one odd sentence question correct, navigated. I think that if I get 1 correct and 2 wrong, I believe that is netted about 1 marks from there. But at least I'm saying that the people who have probably got about 12 to 15, that kind of a range from VA would
Not
have.
audible, Jijo. The last I would say 30 seconds were not audible.
1 second, let me just.
Maybe try without a mic. Maybe that might work.
Is it
Just the speaker.
Is this better?
Come close to the speaker and speak.
I don't have a speaker. No, is it better? No.
Yeah, it's okay.
So let's say not using the mic, and hopefully I'm just screaming. The point that I was saying is that the VA about 12 to 15, those students would have probably scored about at least very close to about 10ish, would have got the higher percentile in this particular test. Because if I look at the reading comprehension, there were 2 passages which really troubled the students. And it was at least probably not the passage that was painful. If I look at this passage on alphabet, it merely talks about how alphabets was created. So there were these Egyptian hieroglyphics. There are some Canaanite workers who looked at the pictorial representation, then made their own interpretation, created this Semitic language, and then later on, when this Canaan region flourished, the language also flourished. That's it. That's basically what this passage was saying. And this particular passage was saying that pure scientific objectivity is not possible. Every scientist is people. Everybody works within a cultural context. That there is no pure objectivity that is possible in science. And then what do? Then they say we have to pick up the certain values that we agree on a certain values on which how to conduct the scientific investigation, and that's sort of this passage is. I believe that if I look at all these passages, this probably not slightly painful passage to read, but people pick that one up. And this swallowtails is probably the easiest of all the passage, at least from understanding that sort of this butterfly after a hurricane, the butterfly the population came down, but after about few years it went back. Interesting things. So somehow hurricane actually not only killed a lot of the butterfly, also helped later the growth to happen. This about intellectual is about Noam Chomsky. You keep seeing his name in many of the cat passages of the past, and his perspective of what is the responsibility of individual, and author giving sort of a nuanced thing. I actually felt that this particular passage had a little more, and these 2 passages were not tough. So there is, if I look at how people did these questions, I'm obviously going to explain some of this. So some of these questions actually sort of doesn't make sense as to why somebody would make mistakes like this. So my gut feeling is that if I, for example, pick up this question number 2, if the question forces a little bit of thinking, a little thinking. So if you actually read the passage here makes its claim that this passage makes its claim that it said that when the hurricane happened, the butterfly population came down. Okay, there were 56. Okay, you can focus on this. 56 individual remaining just after 2 years. But the most recent estimate in 2021, after a lot many years, that 56 went to 4,400. And this passage also says that as the damage rate in the years marches on, then you see the rise in population. So first is that you need a lot of years for the population to rebound to start happening. This particular question is simply asking what is going to happen at 1 year. At 1 year, you'll probably see the population dwindling. And then there are many of you went and started saying that traces of sunlight filtering through the broken forest canopy is something that is seen. But all these are years much long. I think I'm just picking this one question is that if there is a little bit of force on the question to think, and many of the students are facing challenge and trouble in this. Okay, so that sort of is the first passage. I'll still skip and kind of go to the next passage. The next passage was this passage was I think the people who've done well in this particular passage has got great comprehension skills. But the passage is not saying much. It's kind of not very difficult. You have to basically understand the nuanced position of the author. That was a challenge here. If you understand that all these questions are not very, maybe this one question here which is really painful one that I agree, but other 3 questions actually, at least according to me, was manageable. So those of you who would have probably made mistake, I think missed something in terms of understanding this particular passage. This particular passage also is a passage where the second most favorite. And if you actually look at this in terms of these 3 questions, it is almost 40% accuracy. So it did confuse. It was not deliberately a tough sort of passage. It did have a little bit of confusion. I think that has got to do with what is the position that Noam Chomsky was saying and what the author was saying. Getting that would probably be the challenge. And I think people completely missed what was happening in the story of this alphabet. And so I remember, for example, from a design point of view, some of these questions were not challenging, at least from a design thing. But unfortunately, when I look at the things, that I'm actually surprised in terms of the mistake that at least only 40% of this question, nowhere in this particular passage saying that translating Egyptian inscriptions into Semitic dialect. They are not translating anything. Okay, so they are basically figuring out on their own. I think that writing things their own way, inventing a simpler, more versatile system. They are not actually translating anything. So this is kind of this question, easy to pick. Again, you have there's one. So some of these the questions. I think it's about missing some element of what's given in the particular passage. I mean, the passage clearly say it is about local leaders beginning to use local languages to govern. And this is an except question. This talks about imperial governance. Imperial is like from a kingdom perspective. This like all is broken down. Everything is smaller cities, local leaders. So there's nothing imperial about it. So I actually. At least in this particular passage, I'm actually very surprised to see this outcome. Personally, I'm supposed to surprised to see this. I don't know, very surprised. And I know the last passage in it had deliberately these options were kind of little tricky. So this, for example, if I look at this question, it talks about scientific reality. This is about interpretation of the reality is not objective. The reality in itself is not influenced by culture. The reality exists, but our interpretation of that reality, that is based on the cultural influence. I think that sort of nuance is what was challenging question number 1. And I can sort of go on and on. I think that you can go through the solutions. So there's these four passages challenge. I don't think the passage per se challenged because of how the passage was, the passage itself. I think that some of the challenge was maybe misunderstanding the discussion that was happening in the passage. That could be one. And maybe if the question asks you to go one step, it's not even 2-3 steps, just one step of reasoning. That was sort of was a challenge. And of course, the other sort of challenge was also in terms of how the options were framed. So, given the fact that these mocks are essentially about a learning tool, that don't worry about eventually what score you end up having in this case. The question is that I'm guessing in this particular test, if you look back, let's assume that the 97th percentile, all you require is 10 questions net correct. I am basically guessing it was in your hand. It was with you. Something happened in the test. You probably assumed that you probably would have a pre-decided target. But if I look at 10 questions, it was there. You could probably pick up. You could actually see that you could probably would have been there. Some people landed up at 30. Probably they felt really bad about the score, but then they suddenly see that my percentile is fine. Somebody would have probably got a score of 38 and said that this is gone case, this test is gone, or what's going on? But then you realize that you're 99.5 percentile. So at the end of the day, you have to always remember what CAT is. It's a relative test. The absolute level of difficulty of what's going to happen in 2025, nobody knows. At least I have to be sensible enough to ensure that I do better than the rest. That's the key thing. So obviously, while taking the test, you don't know what the outcome is. Postmortem. This level of difficulty graph is also postmortem. When I, for example, sitting and looking at this question in the beginning, I would have imagined that this is going to be this passage is going to be like this. I would have never imagined the passage is going to be like this. But it turned out to be that, right? So these are all postmortem. The only thing that you have is while taking these tests, you obviously have to go and trust whatever you are doing, right? You have to your pace of reading. You have to trust that. You trust your instincts. If you feel that the option is very tricky and you feel that you are not able to crack it, it's very difficult. Trust that the rest of the people taking the test also having the same difficulty, and I have to be sensible to beat them. Now, if I get stuck, this would have created a lot of challenge for many. I'm sure that it is quite possible that not many questions you just could have got stuck, and you probably would have wasted time. And then you had this some idea about this number is going to get me this score, right? So this percentile rank, all this percentile rank at the end of the day is an outcome. I mean, you never know. So, but I believe that this is definitely going to be a good learning. Take it that way, and sort of take it forward.
Jijo, one question, and this is, I think, a common question that 3 to 4 students were asking. So I've just put it up here on the screen. Requesting Jijo sir to pick this up. Can you please suggest a strategy for those of us who are struggling in VARC, scoring less than 20 despite daily VARC practice?
So I can't. It's very difficult to give a strategy. I mean, so for example, whatever, if your attempt is X, if you get all the questions correct, your score is going to be 3X. Right? Huh? So if you attempt 10 questions, if you get all the questions correct, you'll get 30. If it is 75% accuracy, it's going to be 2X. So it means if you attempt, let's say, 10 questions at 75% accuracy, your score is going to be 20. At 50% accuracy, it's going to be X. So you attempt 10 questions and get 10 marks. That means you would have got 50% accuracy. And 75% accuracy means out of 4 questions, getting 3 questions correct consistently across all the reading comprehension that you do. So 75% accuracy in itself is pretty awesome. So if you are looking at something like a 30 marks, let's put a 30 marks in. Then you go back and say, okay, I probably will have to look at attempting something close to 15. And then getting probably about 75% of the questions correct. If you are looking at 40, you need to get close to 20. If you're looking at the very high percentile, you have to look at all the 24 questions. Now you come into a different sort of challenge. If, for example, my gut feeling is that you're not attempting, you are basically, it was quite possible that if you ditch a passage, right, completely, there is that element of luck involved. You probably are also going to ditch some easy questions in the passage. That sort of bit of luck is involved. So This is what you want to do. Your daily practice. See, so let me also say this. I think, and then I'll give the floor to GB. When you do daily passage, which means I'm guessing, let's say you're doing daily dose. Career launches daily dose. In the daily dose, that passage you're forced to solve and you solve it. Right. And I'm sure that what I want to do is that the last 1 week, okay, let's pick up the daily doses that you did and imagine this passage would have come in the actual exam for the passage put together, what you would have done. Would you have actually solved that particular passage? Would you I think that implementing what you're doing in the daily test into the test structure is going to be absolutely crucial. And yeah, so if you want to improve your scores from over 20, my feeling is that you're attempting maybe about 12 to 15 questions is my gut feeling. You're probably doing about 2 RCs and 8 VA questions. That's my 16ish. That's my feeling. And then you are able to get about 50-60% accuracy. So yeah, so I really don't have any strategy, but these are some of the broad ideas that you can work with.
Perfect. I think spot on. Similar to what I think we state, simulate as much as possible, right? And hopefully that simulation eventually will help you. Darshan has a question that can we conduct a few more such mocks at external centers? We're trying. It also boils down to how many of you take it. Darshan, students like you do come. There are hundreds of y'all, but then there are other thousands who decide to then take it at home. So then it becomes slightly difficult. There is a cost benefit analysis that we need to look at as well. But yeah, overall, yes, we will try at least for 1 or 2 more sets, 1 or 2 more papers. Jijo, probably just 1 or 2 more questions before. I know you need to leave because you're at a hotel and you got up. Just 1 or 2 more questions, perhaps. A student basically stating that you recommended start with VA, work for him. Maybe that's an input to a few others as well who are still searching that what might work for you, not work for you. You still have 3 months.
So any specific advice I would have given to anyone in terms of doing anything, I probably would be very, very specific to that person's case. So don't generalize. These are at the center due to continuous buzz around my mind. Continuous buzz around my mind. I don't know what that means. Okay, I don't know whether it's internal caused by the people around. I actually couldn't process your RCs. It's not my RCs, by the way. Okay, it is your RCs too. I had to start with it was a savior how to deal with pattern because it will take a toll. I mean, so you have to understand that all these passages that was there in this particular test. I mean, none of them were very complicated, right? And it is very, very important that you read. You see, in VRC, unlike QA, in QA you bring in knowledge. There is no other additional knowledge that you want to acquire from the test to solve anything. You have the knowledge with you. Some information is given. You work that information with the knowledge that you have, and then you get the answer, right? And you all never in QA never evaluating the 4 answer choices. Also, you're solving it and you're picking and ticking and moving on. That is not what is happening in VRC. VRC to answer all the questions. You have to develop that knowledge during the test by reading the passage, reading the questions. So if you have any even a minor issue in terms of breaking process is going to be very, very difficult. So this is my advice. Whatever you do, then you have to solve solve a particular RC or a paragraph simple question or whatever or paragraph simple question the exactly same way every single time. So you know what you're doing with each of these questions. Convert that into very sort of process driven thing, and then the thing should work. Yeah.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thanks for that, Jijo. I see a lot of questions here. Maybe some of them could be picked up later on, and we could reply to that post the session. Difficult to pick all of them, but if you want, I could pick up 1 or 2 more, Jijo, sure, if you have the time. Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So now that questions of VA and RC are mixed now, should I solve the question and note them and attempt RC? No. First of all, this mixed up questions came, I believe, in 2018 and 2024.
Last year.
Yeah. Last year and 2018 also. Okay,
Yeah,
I
18.
remember in
The Cal
2017
one.
there were two.
I think both years have been Cal, na? 2018 and 2024 both were Cal, if I'm not
Both
wrong.
were CAP. So in 2020,
Yeah.
2017, I remember there were two tabs. There was an RC tab and a VA tab, sub tabs. Okay, in almost all. So I don't know how they're going to present the paper to you. So if let's say if you want to do the RCs one by one, there is no need to. I mean, when you see on the screen a question on paragraphs, whatever, DA, just keep it. No, I don't think that you have to go through all the paper and do it. Or other thing that you can do is to probably pick up the question, click on the question say paper button, go through that RC, read the RC, solve it then, and then mark later. So you could. I will say, Harshit, that whatever works for you, please do that. Okay, that's. But my gut feeling is 2025. It's not going to be mixed. Is my feeling. It is one Calcutta story for whatever is the reason.
Yeah. Cal loves to add its own flavor. Some flavor. Yeah. Cool. Perfect. Okay. Maybe we could move on to the DLR section. Thanks, Jijo. Shashank, could you bring back the PPT perhaps?
Just give me a moment.
Yeah.
This is the scenario.
GB, you scared us just one day before the test. And thankfully, it is not as easy as you thought it would be. Yeah, DILR.
Yeah, not as easy, but I think along the lines. I think uh, uh, 36, I think, is what we see, right? 99 percentile, close to about 3. Yeah, 99 and 36, which is maybe we could move ahead and move to the DLR section, Shashank, in the PPT directly. आगे जाके, yeah. So if we look at it from a 99 perspective, 36, that's about 3 sets. So GP and I and we looked at this paper separately. If I'm not wrong, it was Friday. And then had a chat with Shivku and Shashank. My initial input, and I'll agree to this, was probably not completely on the mark. I felt that this was a very, very easy DLR section. That was my initial input. I think I was slightly biased because all the sets were probably, focused on this concept of numbers, which was not a fair, context for me to base my opinion on. I like numbers. I love playing around with numbers, and all sets felt like numbers ke saath agar you can play a little, if you can do something with it, maybe it will help you handle it. So GP also felt, it was similar to a CAT 24, and I think the marks also showcase it's similar to CAT 24. Had a chat with some 5-7 students as well. Why? Because we've been taking RT99. I was at Varanasi, on Saturday. Had a chat with a few students who had taken it, in the morning slot, and the feedback was, yes, sir, DLR seemed approachable, doable. 2 to 3 sets surely that they could go ahead and do. If we look at DLR in terms of CAT, like we've been talking about, look at the 99 percentile, that's 36. So I would say very, very close to last year. 38 is where it was. And then if you look at the two curves, they are very, very similar. In fact, if you look at it at the lower end, which is at the 75, 80, 85 percentile mark, you will realize that this paper was actually slightly easier than CAT 24 because, and I'll keep repeating this, because the number of sitters was slightly higher. Having said that, there was, unlike CAT 2024, I think there was one set here which would have taken a little bit of time, maybe not set, but at least a couple of questions in 2 sets which would have taken a little bit of time to go ahead and solve. Specifically that resort one, it would have taken a little bit of time because you had to work a little around it. And then the second one, the candlestick one, these 2 sets I think would have taken a little bit of time, a couple of questions there. But other than that, I think the other 3 sets, there should be no reason. And if you were not able to attempt it, if you're not able to identify, go do the analysis and see what went wrong. And probably what I'll do is I'll go ahead and share the paper, just so that it goes ahead and helps a little bit. Just give me a second. Let me share my screen, and do tell me once it is visible, please. Just give me a second.
Should I share the paper as well?
No, I have the paper, so just give me a second. I'm just opening it. Just give me a second. Window. Yeah, do let me know if this is visible.
Yes.
Is it visible?
Yes.
Perfect. So this is basically the LRDI section. Now I've also done an overview. GP's also done an overview. An overview would basically mean we spent about 10-15 minutes explaining to you कि starting में when we looked at this paper first time देखा what went on in our mind. क्या priority order हमने identify किया. GP and mine are different, which is understandable because we'll have our own preferences. We will have our own types of sets that we have an affinity towards and so on and so forth. So I've done an overview for it and I'll help you understand what went on in my mind when I looked at these sets for the first time. So the section starts. This is the first thing that comes up. The moment it comes up, I read it. Okay, I'm understanding what is happening. The good part was the chart. It is telling me team 1, two members, team 2, 2 members. Each of them has two members each, and it is in a very good order: S1, S2, S3, S6, S7, S8, S9. So even the ordering is good. 6 months ka data has been provided categorically, as you can see for each of them, and then the questions start. When you look at the questions on the face of it, and you would have heard me state this earlier, maybe even during RT99, I hate if then sets, if then questions which have maxima, minima, and are theta. And guess what? The very first question is a mixture of all the three things that I hate. It's if then, it's a minimum question, and it is theta. However, if a person had read this set clearly, you would have realized that this is not a typical maxima minima kind of question. You don't need to maximize others to minimize this. What it is telling you is, I have given you 6 months of data. Something is happening in 1 month or 2 months. Forget those two, work towards the others. And that is what the first 2-3 questions were doing. Basically, are you good enough to play with numbers? So the first question itself was stating 54 marks at 6 mahine mein. That means average is 9 basically, and the points are 10, 8, 6, 4 and so on and so forth. अब 54 marks आने के लिए मेरे को basically खेलना पड़ेगा only at the higher end. I only need to operate with 10 marks, 8 marks. If I bring in a 6 marker, then in 5 I could have scored 10, and in 1 I can score a 6. That's 56. If in 4 I score 10, in 2 I score 6, that's a 52. That means 6 is not coming into the picture. You're only playing with 10 and 8. And that was staring you in your face. When you're playing only with 10 and 8 and you need to score 54, it doesn't seem too difficult. The moment I read that, then the other questions started coming. I was very clear. This is not a set I want to start with, but it is also not a set which is a complete no-no, like the normal if-then maxima minima sets are. So it's not a complete no-no, but I don't want to start with this. And if I end up having to start with this, it's a difficult paper. That's how it went on. Move to the second set. Typical candlestick. If I'm not wrong, candlestick came this year in CAT as well, in CAT 24. So this is a typical candlestick. The good thing about it is, especially if you trade and stuff like that, you know what candlestick stands for. You know what green means profit. You know what red means it's a loss. And here you're talking at the end of the week. You know what a wick means. You generally know what the top end will mean, what the low end will mean. So those of you who trade, those of you who look at these charts, this would have been very easy to understand. And you could have moved on quickly. And I know a few students who did come out and state, यार मेरे को first paragraph पढ़ने की ही जरूरत नहीं पड़ी, because I just looked at the chart, I understood because I'm used to it. And that happened in CAT last year as well. Candlestick did turn up. So there is a possibility that a set turns up wherein a section of you are slightly more advantaged because of some work that you do, or because you have a particular interest and you have seen charts of that sort, and that might actually happen in CAT. And I felt that this was one of those. Here, the questions: maximum possible 5-day closing average if it is an integer. There is no data that I have to operate with. It will get me to work a little. Raghav held shares, something that he has to do 20, 50, 40. It is going to make me work. 5-day average closing price at the end of week 3 is 322. During that week, Wednesday's price equals median. So once again, you are getting me to place things in order, find out the median. There could be particular cases, and it asks me for the smallest particular value. So smallest, maximum, theta. Then comes the next question, till Thursday on week 1, after each trading day cumulative. Now, this is where there was a slight problem as well. When I was recording this particular set, I did have a discussion with Shivku. I think there was a slight error that we had gone ahead and made. So we are actually calling it out as an errata, and we are giving marks, additional marks, which will be given, by tomorrow to everybody who had attempted this set for questions 32 and 33. Because I think we had missed a phrase that when we were talking about it, that the cumulative average will be an integer, it needed to be pointed out that that was only till Thursday, and that was an error at our end. So it was an errata. And happens in exams, happens in CAT as well. So we realized that when we were recording, and we realized that there is an issue there. So there'll be marks that will be given to everybody for this particular set, but like CAT, it is only given to those who attempt this set. CAT also does exactly that. So if you've not attempted this set, you don't get marks. That's how it happens in CAT. So unknowingly, our objective was to go ahead and replicate CAT as much as possible, which is why we have this open mock. Unknowingly, we've gone ahead and replicated this part as well. It wasn't by design, it has happened unknowingly. It's but it's good to experience it and to know that if something like this happens, then you go ahead and you get marks for the questions which were incorrect, but only given to those who attempted the set. Generally, the way Mellow Harsh, generally the way CAT does it is, if you attempted the set, because they assume, even if you attempted one question, they go ahead and they assume that यार एक दो question अगर किए इस बंदे ने fight मारी होगी, maybe he could not do it because of whatever reason. So yeah, so what we are doing is we're going to give marks to everybody who's done the last two. Okay, 32 correct हुआ, give only okay. So Avinash is saying मेरा percentile कम हो जाएगा, don't give for 32 to everybody, but yeah, we'll be fair. We'll be fair. I like that competitive nature in you, Avinash. It's good to have that in mocks as well, but yeah, we'll be fair. We'll give this to everybody because I think it was an error at our end that we forgot that particular phrase. Yeah, so then moving on to the third set. So the second set seems once again doable. If you were to ask me, I would do the first set before the second set. Why first set? It seems a little bit more approachable. It seems a little bit more direct. The numbers are easier to play with. 54, 30, ये सब easier to play with. The numbers here, you're talking about numbers like 318, 323, 325. इसमें थोड़ा मेहनत होगी as compared to talking about a two-digit number where you only have to deal with 10, 8, 6 and you have to do. Here you will need to find maxima, minima, where in most cases two numbers or three numbers, but you don't know the other two and you need to play with them. 32 and 33 will make you work a lot, especially. So I would go by set 1 over set 2. Then comes set 3. Interesting set once again a set that deals with numbers. And the best part about this set was, if you understand prime numbers, this is an easy set. You know the number of prime numbers, below 100, we're talking about 26 odd prime numbers. Also, you know that it is categorically stating that Mn and Nm have to be a reverse. Now, isme couple of logics can come in. Any prime number that starts with 2, 4, 6, 8, इसका जब reverse करोगे, that number will end with a 2, 4, 6, 8. So that can be a part of the Nm and Mn part. So you are only left with numbers which are 1, 3, 5, and 9. You only needed to look at those numbers to look at the Nm and the Mn part. And usme also a couple of them, stare you in your face, because when you're reading it, also read the first line. Minimum possible donation. 11 ho nahi sakta, minimum possibly 13 hai. It forced you to think about 13. Usko opposite 31 hota hai. Look at the next statement ka second line. The maximum possible donation was made. Maximum prime number is 97. Uska reverse bhi 79 hota hai. So 2 pairs to the very first statement gave you itself. So if you are willing to think a little, if you're okay with basic understanding of numbers and playing with numbers, this was not a difficult set. This was a set that you could have picked up. And I'm happy to see when we look at that chart as well, when we go back to Shashank's PPT, we will see that a lot of you actually picked up set 3. And you've done well as well, because the accuracy here has been quite high. Most of you, have gotten at least 3-4 questions with about 70-80% accuracy. So set 3 surely. So once again, my priority order now changes. I move to a 3-1-2. Then I move to set 4. This is one of those sets that I was talking about, the resort set. The very first thing that I did in this set when I looked at it was check for basic stuff, which is when they are telling me that 2 adults and 2 children ka 8,000 hoga, agar main cheating karu, if there are only 2 adults and 1 child, can I still go ahead and take this 8,000 because it will be cheaper? No, you can't, because 3,000 into 2 plus 1,500 is 7,500. So the first thing which I checked was the question has been framed in such a way that ye up to 2 adults, 2 children nahi, exactly 2 adults, 2 children hai. And ye group wala package and ye family wala package you will only take when you have adequate number of people to take it. Otherwise, you will not play around and state ले लेते हैं ये package, कम लोग भी आएंगे, पैसा तो अपने को कम पड़ेगा. That's not how it will operate. So that was the first thing that I checked. if you look at the questions in this set, once again, Sukhde's family of 5 adults, 4 children plans to stay at Sunrise. What is the cheapest deal of their stay? Not a problem, cheapest deal के लिए, but once again इसमें problem क्या आ रहा है? Maxima minima which is theta, and there are 3 sets that did this in this paper. They gave you maxima minima with theta, but here not very difficult, because the moment they say 5 adult and 4 children, and the moment you have realized that you will always take a package when the number of people is either 5 or 4, you know 5 adults and 4 children में package तो आना ही है, 2 family ले लूंगा, एक child को अलग से ले लूंगा, and the same way you can look at the remaining 3. So once again, a set that is doable, but I would still go ahead with set 3 first, then maybe look at set 1 and then bring this set into the picture. And then comes the last set, which I think was the best set of all, Amla, Mango and Lemon. This was, GP reminded me that this was very similar to the CAT 2018 set that had come. उसमें कुछ था similar table 3x3 का बन रहा था, where there were, I think, professors who do research work, consultancy and this, and there was something more to it. This was almost a replica of that. And the interesting thing about this set, and you will see it in my attempt as well, when I read it, look at, when I was identifying the priority order, usme you read the first line. The number of Amla trees in fields 1 and 2 are equal, while the number in field 1 is 3/4 of that in field 3. So field 3 अगर 4x है, तो field 1 3x हो जाएगा, field 2 भी 3x हो जाएगा, total 10x हो गया, multiple of 10. Then look at the last point. The number of Amla trees is largest among the 3 varieties, but fewer than 50. That means यहाँ तो 10 है, 20 है, 30 है, 40 है, total trees is 96. अगर 10 हुआ, sum of the other 2 is 86, Amla can't be highest. अगर 20 हुआ, sum of the other 2 is 76, Amla can't be highest. अगर 30 हुआ, sum of the other 2 is 66, Amla can't be highest. Only possible is 40. That means Amla is 40, and the second half of the fifth statement was, and the number of lemon trees is half of that. So number of lemon trees is 20. And guess what? That was the very first question. How many lemon trees did Ramu plant? So the moment I was reading this, statement 1 and 5 automatically दिमाग में आया कि भैया ये तो एक ही ऑप्शन है, एक आंसर भी हो गया, let's start here. So from a priority perspective, I would have gone 5, then I would have gone 3, then I would have gone 1, then I would have gone 4, and then I would have gone 2. Now that's the way I would have attempted this paper. I've spoken about that as well. Overall, if I look at it, I think this was a must-do set. There should be no reason you leave this set. It was a sitter. So those of you who missed this, I think you've missed an opportunity. This was, I would say, for the lack of a better term, free के 12 marks. ये तो free के मिल रहे थे. This was not difficult at all. Similarly, the third set, the MNNM one, I think if somebody was willing to spend a little bit of time, be a little logical कि भैया 2, 4, 6, 8 वाले नहीं देखने, बाकी ही देखने हैं, and मेरे को statement से info आ रहा है, third set was also doable. Then it was about 1, 2 and 4 where you wanted to operate. I think 1 was the easiest, and then you can take a call between 2 and 4. But once again, it will be basis your affinity and basis what you feel you are comfortable with. There'll be nothing wrong with respect to that. But 3 and 1, if you missed out, I think major issues. That's basically it from my end. I think GP, maybe you could also come in with respect to the DILR section and your take.
Yeah, Gautam. Just a couple of things. वो जो last वाला set है ना, if you go to CAT 2018, bureaucrat, politician and educationist, there are 24 people. And what struck me was उसमें भी पहली statement यही थी, जो उसकी पहली statement and the set number 5 first statement was same. That field 1, field 2 are equal, and field 3 and field 1 is 3/4 of the other. So that is where it struck me straight away. Now coming to the sequences के अंदर मेरा sequence, Gautam, as we have discussed, is slightly different from yours. For me, set number 1 was the last set I would attempt. For the simple reason, it is making me build cases. And when I look at the other sets, whether it is set number 2, which is the high HLCO, or whether it is that resort wala, both these sets are such that which will have some couple of questions to be easy, 1 or 2 questions will be difficult, or maybe going to be left. Because these are cases which have to be made, scenarios which are given, and you need to pick the right scenario. You need to do that calculation for each scenario separately. So मेरे लिए था कि यार 2 and 4 पक्का करना चाहिए है, but you should be willing to leave a question or 2 if required. And the first 2 sets, set number 5 and 3, I think were the easiest, as you have also said. So my sequence was 5, 3. Then between 2 and 4, I went for the resort wala. Then 2, and then I would look at set number 1. Set number 1, especially because the numbers का है, and it will make me make cases. Maximum minimum भी दिया हुआ है, scenario दिया हुआ है, तो मेरे को लगा काम करना पड़ेगा. But when I look at the paper as such, to me, when I was doing the paper also, it reminded me of CAT 24, wherein you had 3 to 4 sets which are doable, one set which will be a little difficult. So depending upon whether your strength is numbers or your strength is something else, you'll find that 3 to 4 sets are doable, and one set will make you put in a little extra effort. तो उस हिसाब से मेरे को ये पेपर बहुत अच्छा लगा, because it was actually replicating CAT 24 DILR. Otherwise, I would say, as you said rightly, set number 5, I am not happy with the fact that only 50% of the population has attempted set number 5. Similarly, I'm not happy with the fact that set number 3, only 50% have attempted. And the green bars in those two sets are telling you not a single red in these two sets, 3 and 5.
Correct.
3 yellows and 3 plus 3, 6 greens. So 6 greens and 2 yellows and 3 yellows is something which is telling you clearly ये miss galat hua hai, and which is why for those of you who are not someone who are not those who will be able to do the complete paper, extremely important to go through all the sets and then decide which one to do. Okay.
Absolutely. Maybe we could just pick up a couple of questions.
Yeah.
GP, you can continue. Till then, probably I'll just identify a couple of questions.
Yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say. Itna hai, because everything else you have covered in great amount of detail.
Yeah, perfect. Students are saying, can you please look at question 27? 27 में कोई issue था क्या?
I didn't realize that.
S7 did not earn any points. कोई issue नहीं था? Yeah, this was fine. There was no issue with set 1 question 3. I think I've recorded it as well. Do have a look at it. Is wrongly represented in this chart. Maybe. I don't know whether it is wrongly represented in this chart or not. Yeah, Melo, that was the key, right? It's given other 5 months, but we have included 0. 0 will not be there. That was the first thing that you had to remove, because the question categorically states exactly 1 month may he earns 0. So the very first option that will be removed will be 0. 0 was not the answer either. So that is the very first option that gets removed. That is good, na? When you have an option that can immediately be eliminated, it's brilliant. That's the ideal situation to be in. That does not mean कि question में कुछ गलत है. वो तो अच्छी बात है हमारे लिए, right?
Gautam, one more comment I have, and this is with respect to that set number 1 itself, that S1 to S जो भी था उसके अंदर. Now when I'm looking at this graph,
should I open it? Should I open it?
नहीं जरूरत नहीं है Gautam, I'm just looking at the graph. Question number 28, which is the easiest, has the least attempt.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now what that means is, again, students are not choosing the right questions. And I would again recommend here, please, when you are doing DILR, open the question, click on the question paper button so that you can look at all the 4 questions together and pick up the easier ones. To me, based on the data, it appears the 4th question was the easiest one, has the least attempt. Which means people got fed up with the first 2-3 questions and चौथे में पहुंच के उनको समझ ही नहीं आया या confuse हो गया और फिर छोड़ दिया. Which to me is poor selection. So to students, my again request would be, not only are you supposed to look at all the data sets, you are also supposed to look at all the questions in a data set before deciding which one to attempt first.
Absolutely. Anant, I'll pick up this question because I think ये सबसे common question है जो हम हर साल face करते हैं, and I think this is also the most common question that we have addressed. Yeah, in CAT, and this you are talking about DILR. I was, I just stated, on Saturday I was at Varanasi, and the same thing somebody asked me, sir, I am a good student, but TSD का question जब देखता हूँ ना छोड़ नहीं पाता हूँ. अंदर से ऐसे लगता है लगाव है special, छोड़ ही नहीं पाता हूँ. Whatever the question is, that is basically what you are stating. कि ego comes into the picture, and that is one part. And the second part is the concept of sunk cost in economics. I think that is something that is very important. If you don't know what it means, please go. You can use ChatGPT, which is what people use nowadays, or you can use a very nice site called Investopedia and go and check what this concept of sunk cost is. एक बार you have spent 10 minutes on something and you've not been able to solve. अब ये मत सोचो 10 मिनट लगा दिया तो और लगाना चाहिए. ये सोचो अब वो 40 मिनट की जगह 30 मिनट का पेपर हो गया है. एंड इसका पॉजिटिव ये मेरे को पता है ये मेरे से हिलने नहीं वाला है. सो इंस्टेड ऑफ 5 सेट्स आई हैव टू नाउ लुक एट 4 सेट्स. 4 में से कुछ करना है. there is this concept of sunk cost. You have to keep ego aside. You have to keep love towards a set, towards a topic aside, and you have to understand that there is something called sunk cost and not say I have already spent 8-10 minutes on this, अब मैं और कर लेता हूँ शायद हो जाए. ये शायद में ना बहुत चीजें गाड़ी पीछे छूट जाएगी. So
And
please, I
Anand,
think it will be good.
Gautam,
हाँ जी.
Anand को मैं एक चीज और बोलना चाहूंगा, if she is not interested in you, you need to move on. तुम साला हाथ पांव धो के पीछे पड़े हुए हो उसके, और वो तुम्हें सैंडल पे सैंडल मार दिया और तुम लगे हुए हो. क्यों बेवकूफी कर रहे हो यार? जस्ट लर्न टू मूव ऑन. जो चीज औकात के बाहर होती है उसके बारे में ज्यादा नहीं सोचते. और सेकेंडली, यू शुड नॉट बिकम, लेट्स से, enamored with something कि यार मेरा दिमाग काम करना बंद हो जाए. एंड दैट इज व्हाट हैपेंड. जो गौतम कह रहा था ना कि यार ये जीएसटी का सवाल इतना अच्छा लगता है कि बाकी सब छोड़ दे, तो भैया जिंदगी बर्बाद कर लोगे. ये चीज कैट के बाहर भी करते होगे तुम तो. So please remember your job, and I'll again be politically incorrect and say your job is to flirt and move on, not get married. तुम ज़्यादा यहाँ शादी बर करके घर बसाने बैठ जाते हो कि आगे चलो.
Absolutely.
Keep moving.
Absolutely spot on. So a couple of you all are also asking for a live attempt. Guys, we're actually planning this. We were having a discussion internally as well. We're actually planning to have a live attempt on YouTube. A 40-minute live attempt of DILR of a paper, similarly for quant and similarly for verbal, so that you can see us when we do it live. खाली ये मत expect करना जब हम live कर रहे हैं तो आपके questions भी answer कर रहे होंगे while attempting. So be a little logical about that, but we're actually planning something around that.
And Gautam, एक expectation और नहीं होनी चाहिए कि हमसे गलती नहीं होगी.
Oh,
we will make
absolutely.
mistakes. Live with that. Everyone makes mistakes. So will we. So don't expect a perfect score. At least not from me.
No, absolutely, and not just mistakes. In terms of getting a question wrong, we will also pick up the wrong set. That will also happen with us. लगेगा easy है नहीं किया, but what will happen is we'll probably realize and move on. And you will, and those are the things that you need to understand the basic tenets of. कब हमें समझ आता है, कैसे हमें समझ आता है, क्या parameters हम देखते हैं जो जिसके basis पे हम वो calls ले पाते हैं. I will pick up one more question, before we move to quant. Sir, now that all questions were mostly similar, I mean having if conditions, how to exactly pick up with set zero. So I explained it, I think I went in detail, and GP has also done an overview of this particular mock in terms of priority order setting. I have also done an overview in terms of priority order setting. So you will get two differing views. Go through that. I'm hoping that will go ahead and help you a little bit in terms of how you could pick it up. One last, because I think this is something that Arnav had pointed out earlier as well. I attempted the fourth set. Planning, I would take only 10 minutes. It took 20 minutes, after which I moved to set 3. Should I have left it after 10 minutes were over? GP, you want to pick this?
Sorry, क्या कह रहे हो? I missed the question.
Arnav is saying, I attempted the fourth set. Planning, I would take only 10 minutes. मैंने plan कर लिया ये. It took me 20 minutes, after which I moved to set 3. Should I have left it after 10 minutes were over, or is my strategy correct?
Difficult for me to say. अगर 10 मिनट में तुम्हारे 3 सवाल हो गए थे तो maybe you should have moved on. Okay. But if after 10 minutes you had only one question and you were reasonably confident कि बाकी हो भी जाएंगे, then it's okay. It's very difficult for one of us to say कि तुम्हें exactly क्या करना चाहिए till we have more information. Okay. For example, were you able to solve the set completely? If yes, then it was perfectly fine. Yes, you took more time, कुछ गलती हो गई. In hindsight, it was not a good decision to start the set, or maybe you need to then check out why did this happen to you? Did you make a mistake in reading the data? Did you make a mistake in tabulating the data? So where did you went off? That is what you need to be worried about more at this point of time.
One more, aspect that I'll probably put in GP and I'll end it and we'll move to quant is, Arnav, what is your current level of preparation and how much do you score? If on an average you are unable to score about 15, 17, 18 marks also, then spending 20, 25 minutes on a set and ensuring 15 is done is not a bad strategy. Actually, पहले वो भी तो एक होना चाहिए. So if currently you are hovering, around that 10, 12, 14, 15 marks, that 20 minutes is worth it. If like GP stated, you've, gotten all of them and you've been able to crack it. But if you're one of those who generally does 2.5, 3 sets or more, then maybe, like GP stated, if 10 minutes in 2 to 3 questions were done, it did not make a lot of sense to spend more time. And this is something I pointed out, and GP also pointed out. 2 sets, set 2 and set 4, इन दोनों में 2-3 क्वेश्चन हो जाएंगे 7-8-9 minutes में, but for that one additional question or 2 additional question, you will end up spending equal amount of time which you did for the others. And that is where the call of whether I should spend that time on these 2 questions or move to a different set comes into the picture. So I think that is one thing that you could look at.
Yeah, just to add to what Gautam said, any set which is going to give you scenarios, and each scenario will be different from the other, you should be aware of the fact that the level of difficulty of question will vary. Couple of questions are going to be easy, 1 or 2 questions are going to be such that वो तुम्हारा time खाएंगे, and अगर वो हुआ है तो फिर problem है, ठीक है? And now, as you have said, yes, you have done 3 questions, 10 minutes, so yes, you should have moved on possibly. ये दिखना चाहिए था कि चौथे में मेरे को कितना time लगेगा, ठीक है?
Absolutely. One, मैं last बोल के ले ही लेता हूँ एक और, sorry for that. If you're confident that you'll be able to crack a set, but it will take time, should we go ahead with it? Again boils down to when you spend the first 6-8 minutes analyzing the paper, LOD क्या लग रहा था, कितना कर सकते हो and all, और वो आपके priority order में कहाँ आता है. Like I stated, when I looked at it, set 1 I felt I can do, but I felt other sets were easier. So I will do set 1, but I'll come back to it later. Had it been a paper where I felt set 1, might be the easiest bet that I would have spent time on it and done it. So I think it's not a call that you can take as a standalone set. It's not daily dose. यहाँ 5 set है, बाकी 4 set क्या नजरिया दिखा रहे थे, क्या आपको situation दिखा रहे थे, that will decide what you should do with this set and whether you should spend that much time or not. Okay, I think maybe we could move to quant.
I just wanted to pick this. If Jugaad cannot be used in the exam, there's no point of doing Jugaad, Devraj.
I love this. And sir, that live attempt, can it be like a student attempting a CAT paper? Which should include you to solve as a student? And I as a student always use Jugaads. GP as a student always use Jugaads. GP
देखो ये जुगाड़ तुम्हारे लिए नहीं create किए गए. This is what I used to do and this is what I'm sharing with you. So that's the basic thing you need to understand. It has not been created for this. This is the way I have always worked, and which is why it comes naturally to me. And soon I will show you a couple of more people apart from the people you know जो ऐसी हरकतें बचपन से करते आ रहे हैं.
I think to start with Jugaad, first start reading options before you pick up paper and pen. मुझे लगता है कि start point ही है जुगाड़ सीखने का. Everyone, every time you tell someone that this is the Jugaad, then everyone says option तो पढ़े ही नहीं. So this, I think, when students start reading the options before they pick up paper and pen, आने लगता है जुगाड़. आप 10 में से 1-2 में लगाने लगते हो. But if you are saying कि जुगाड़ यूज नहीं करना है, ठीक है, कुछ और भी यूज नहीं करना है, तो पेपर कैसे देंगे फिर?
And the other thing, Shashank, is many students are afraid of using जुगाड़ क्योंकि गलत तो नहीं हो जाएगा. And मेरा point ये है, अगर मॉक्स में पंगा नहीं लोगे तो कैट में तो बिल्कुल नहीं लोगे. So if you have to learn to use जुगाड़, mocks is the best place to do it. Mocks, section test, topic test, this is the place where you have to experiment, fine tune it, and only then you will be able to use it in the CAT. Okay.
And just one more thing, GP, is please understand हमेशा जुगाड़ लगेगा भी नहीं. For example, इस वाले DILR वाले पेपर में I didn't see a lot of cases, maybe one at max. वो वाला जो एक वो रिजॉर्ट वाला था, क्योंकि वो ऑप्शंस देख के 33, 34, 35 2 ऑप्शन क्लियरली एलिमिनेट हो रहे थे डायरेक्टली देख के, बट उसके अलावा नथिंग. एंड इट इज ओके. ऐसा नहीं है यू विल से सर जुगाड़ नहीं लगा मतलब आपने जो पढ़ाया ठीक नहीं है, मैं जो पढ़ा सीख नहीं है, नहीं लगा, इट्स ओके, बिग डील, सो चिल, इट्स फाइन. या ओवर टू क्वांट.
अच्छा शशांक, can you अच्छा quant का?
This is QA. So in QA we got 99.5 at a score of 39. 99 percentile overall we got at 35. At home we got 35, but at center it was 31. सो 99 परसेंटाइल सेंटर पे 31 है, यहाँ पे 35 है. पिछले वाले ओपन सीडीसी में दिस गैप वाज 11 मार्क्स. So it was at center it was 30 marks, at home it was 41 marks. इस मॉक में जो डिफरेंस है ये बहुत ड्रास्टिकली डिक्रीज हो गया है. So I think either paper was good or I think something happened.
No, I think this paper में, if you actually look at this paper, this is one classic paper जहाँ पे the first half was tough, the second half was easy, relatively easy. I would say easy तो नहीं बोलूँगा. So those who probably stayed on, didn't get flustered till the end, they would have scored at least 7 to 8 questions right, minimum, right? And those, so which is why all those people would have crossed 30 plus. I think I believe, would not have taken it easy or given up in the middle of the test, but would have continued to go on with full into till the last, or maybe they got their round system very well. So if you look at it, last में जो 4-5 questions थे, वहाँ पे मेरे ख्याल से बहुत आराम से, for example, you can see those last 4 questions, 3 of them were absolute sitters. So the greens are less. The initial part was the challenging part in this paper. If somebody could have skipped the questions very nicely in the initial part, I think they would have probably done well in this paper. Those who did not, because पहला वाला नहीं हुआ, दूसरा वाला नहीं हुआ, तीसरा भी नहीं हुआ, चौथा भी नहीं हुआ, पांचवा भी नहीं हुआ, उसके बाद जो टेंशन हो गया होगा, if people had succumbed to the tension, I think this would have been a fairly tough paper.
But sir, if you look at this graph ना, so last के जो questions है उनमें attempt भी ज्यादा है. मतलब जनरली हम लोग पहले ग्राफ देखते ना, तो अटेम्प्ट का जो ग्राफ होता था वो हमेशा डिक्रीजिंग होता था टिल द एंड. नाउ दिस टाइम इट इज higher number of attempts at the end, as well as accuracy is also higher, which means I think it is very soothing.
Higher कहाँ पे यार? देखो 50% of questions have been attempted. Only about 4 questions people have 50% of people have attempted 4 questions. कहाँ पे ज्यादा है?
स्टार्टिंग में तो 30% ही है.
नहीं, वो तो ठीक है, वो तो ठीक है, but I think only 4 questions have people, more than 50% of people have attempted.
Now, do you want me to share the paper?
हाँ यार, एक बार पेपर दिखा दो, because my estimate was same as Shivku. There are about 6 to 7 questions which everyone should have done. Other questions you can, and again this was the question paper जिसमें सवाल छोड़ने में हिचकिचाना नहीं चाहिए था. I think some people have picked up question because suddenly 3-4-5 सवाल छोड़ दिए. In fact, the first question I am surprised with the number of attempts in the first question itself. Logs का सवाल है, आधे लोगों को logs नहीं आता है, and yet people are attempting log, and that's not a straightforward log question if I remember correctly.
Just give me a moment.
Shashank sharing the paper, no?
Yes.
This paper had shades of some of the cats जहाँ पे paper थोड़ा slightly tough था. So sometimes when the paper is tough, I think it's easier to skip the questions.
देखो question 47 तो पक्का, I would say not say पक्का छोड़ना चाहिए था, but look at the question. One is log of base x plus 2, then other is log of base 2x plus 7. Then there's a equation inside which again you need to factorize, and the question is asking for number of solutions. यार किसी भी लिहाज से देखोगे, for majority of the students it's not a good question to attempt. On the contrary, question 48 I'll say everyone should have attempted क्योंकि तुम्हारे पास calculator और Pythagoras theorem लगनी है. Question 48 was nothing but Pythagoras theorem applied 2 or 3 times. I think it was 3 times. 1, 2, 3 या 3 बार Pythagoras theorem लगानी है, calculator उठाओ काम करो, ठीक है. Question 49 is again a doable question. The only issue is PQ का distance में लोग को confusion हो सकती है.
And इसमें एक आंसर 70 आएगा, एक आंसर 90 आती है.
90 आएगा. क्वेश्चन ने क्या पूछा, व्हाट इज द मैक्सिमम लीड ना, मैक्सिमम पे 90 था.
Maximum
People
value.
after getting 70, they wouldn't have checked out 90. That's a likely possibility.
नहीं,
गलत
but
तो
अगर
नहीं।
मेरे को मैक्सिमम डिस्टेंस चाहिए है,
हाँ,
maximum lead चाहिए, then obviously Chirag has to go ahead of that Abhinav. Go
हाँ, so
ahead of Abhinav by 20 meters. तो मुझे 70 वाला चेक क्यों करना, मुझे नहीं समझ आया.
नहीं, no, somewhere at the very subconscious level, na, Chirag is crossing Amit, right? Before the crossing point.
हाँ, मैं तो बाद में मिलाया उनको. मैंने कहा मैक्सिमम डिस्टेंस चाहिए तो जल्दी क्यों मिलेंगे, बाद में मिलेंगे.
हाँ, करेक्ट. वो वाला यूज नहीं किया होगा लोगों ने.
क्वेश्चन 50, ये पीएनसी का बेसिक फंडा है, बट मेरे को पीएनसी नहीं मालूम ना, ये मेरे लिए जुगाड़ का क्वेश्चन है, पैटर्न है. If there are 2 stones only, how many club minimum can be there? If there are 3 stones, how many can be there? तो मैं पैटर्न दिख जाएगा. ठीक है. So if there are 2 stones only, there can only be 2 clubs. When there are 3 stones, you can have minimum of 6 clubs. पैटर्न दिखा है. 2C2 into 1, 2C2 into whatever it was, 3C2 into 2, 2C2 into 2, फिर 3C2 into 2 आ गया था. So पैटर्न दिख जाता है उसमें.
जीपी वो
Question
टेबल भी डालने से पता चल जाएगा.
हाँ, मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ, तुम लिखना शुरू कर दो तो हो जाएगा. Question 51, 50 people should have got it right is my thing. Okay, question 51. Start writing down again. Start writing down. After all, कितने नंबर है? 1 to 30 है ना? You are looking for numbers who are a factor of 72 and 1. Okay. That means the only common factor between that number and 72 has to be 1 and the number itself. लिखो या 2 आ जाता है, 3 आ जाता है, 4 नहीं होगा because 4 के 1 to 4 है. 5 तो वैसे ही हट गया. 3 होगा, सॉरी 6 नहीं होगा क्योंकि 6 में 1 2 3 6 30 नंबर लिखोगे, 1 to 30 लिखोगे. Once you have written till 8 or 10, you will again get the pattern. If this was up to 300, I would have thought about doing it some other way. But with 30, why should I be worried? 52 is a standard question of quadratics. If it has to have integer roots, discriminant has to be a perfect square. और इसके अंदर एक और चीज दिख जाती है. When you look at question 52, the sum of roots is -4. Irrespective of the value of n, the sum of roots is -4. Choice 1 is -4 into 7. Choice 2 -4 into 8. -4 into 9. -4 into 10. मेरे को n की कितनी वैल्यूज है यही निकालना है. शशांक 53 को एक बार अपनी शीट में देखोगे कितने लोगों ने अटेम्प्ट किया. ये तो बहुत अच्छा सवाल लगा मुझे. वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन. देखते ही छोड़ दिया था.
हाँ, ये इसका 10% अटेम्प्ट है, एक्यूरेसी 5%.
नहीं, बट क्यों किया अटेम्प्ट 10% ने, मेरा सवाल वो होगा. क्योंकि द अदर क्वेश्चन आई विल हैव, हाउ मच टाइम डिड दिस क्वेश्चन टेक. तो फिगर समझने में ही टाइम लग रहा है मुझे. बट ठीक है, लेट्स गो फर्दर.
क्वेश्चन नंबर 54.
दिस 54 इज अ एवरेज क्वेश्चन, तो लिख के हो जाएगा. 2 या 3 इक्वेशन बनती है.
क्वेश्चन नंबर
55. अच्छा, 55 मैंने जुगाड़ लगा लिया. I said if x is equal to 1, left hand side will be 39. If x is equal to 2, it becomes some 800, 900. That means the answer has to be, x has to be slightly more than 1, marginally greater than 1. Choice 1 is less than 1, choice 2 is less than 1. Choice 3 is log of 9 by 9 base 4. Choice 4 is log of 4 base 3. 4 base 3 हो गया. Because the answer has to be marginally more than that. जबकि अगर मैं देखता हूँ चॉइस 3 को, दैट विल बी समथिंग लाइक 1.4 के आसपास होगा. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे मेरे को कुछ और भी करने की आवश्यकता थी. क्वेश्चन 56, आई एम श्योर मेनी पीपल वुड हैव ट्राइड एंड गलती होगी. इसको डिफरेंशियल लेके करने का अच्छा होता है. स्टार्ट विद कीपिंग 9 into 300, 2700. अब 81 पे कितने ले जाऊंगा और नीचे कितने ले जाऊंगा, उसकी सिंपल इक्वेशन बन जाएगी. ये सब मैं जुगाड़ सॉल्यूशन में कल सुबह डाल दूंगा. 57 इज अ स्टैंडर्ड क्वेश्चन. टाइम लगेगा, लेकिन जिस तरह का पेपर है, मेरे को 4 मिनट लगाने में कोई तकलीफ नहीं है. बिकॉज टिल 57 वी हैव सीन क्वाइट अ फ्यू क्वेश्चन. 58. अगेन जुगाड़ क्वेश्चन है मेरा. मेरे को जब सवाल देखा मैंने, ये आई नो यू आर डिस्कसिंग द अदर डे एंड सेड कुछ ना कुछ हो जाएगा इसमें. व्हेन आई लुक्ड एट द क्वेश्चन, two things struck me. One is you have 9, 36, 72, 48, all those यानी similar numbers हैं. But ज्यादा जरूरी मुझे चीज दिखी √3. √3 ट्राइंगल में तब आता है when it's a 30, 60, 90 ट्राइंगल या इक्विलैटरल ट्राइंगल. मैंने बोला ये ट्राइंगल को मैं 30, 60, 90 एज्यूम करता हूं, मेरा आंसर आ गया. So ACB is equilateral to me. Not sorry, ACB is 30, 60, 90. Because angle C is 90. Given है A को मैंने 30 लिया, सॉरी B को 30 लिया, A को 60 लिया, शक्ल देखते हुए आंसर आ गया 36√3. Because जो भी ACB होगा, the area of the quadrilateral will be double of that. Okay. Otherwise triangle के अंदर √3 नहीं दिखता कभी. 59 थोड़ा सा मुझे तकलीफ हुई, एंड में फंस गया था. आई वॉज नॉट बीन एबल टू सॉल्व इट फुली, बट वो मेरी जो इक्वेशन नहीं आती ना उधर है. आई वॉज लेफ्ट वंडरिंग कि x2 पार्ट 24 की क्या 2024 की क्या वैल्यू डालना है. वहां पे मैं फंस गया. अदरवाइज बेसिक मेरे को मालूम है क्या करना था. I'll put that in the जुगाड़ solution also. 60 is a question many students should have left, because if you look at question number 60, it has got that not playing, and then उसके बाद कॉमन भी बताया हुआ है, तो कंफ्यूज करने वाला पूरा है. अगर तुम्हारा लेट्स से वेन डायग्राम सेट थ्योरी अच्छा है तो पक्का करना चाहिए. इफ यू आर इफी अबाउट इट, यू शुड नॉट, बिकॉज लुक एट द फर्स्ट 3 choices also, 20, 21, 22. You make one mistake, you'll get a wrong answer. 61, 62 तो आई होप सबने कर लिया होगा. 62 में तो अब तक तो सबको इनफाइनाइट सीरीज कैसे करनी है सीख गए होंगे. Question 63, there's one thing which you should have done, students should have done. In question 63, Shashank, एक मिनट scroll down करोगे. Question was asking for ratio of water, कहीं पे water and liquid B के बारे में है ना. So when you are looking at the data, when you are making your table, don't worry about liquid A and liquid C at all. You need to worry only about the amount of water and amount of liquid B in the mixture. Just forget about these two. And check the choices. 50, 40, 30 से मैंने शुरू कर दिया था. 50, 40, 90, 30, 120. चॉइस में 180 है तो मैंने उसको 1.5 करके 180 के हिसाब से चेक कर लिया. पता चल गया आंसर उससे थोड़ा सा कम होगा तो 170 मार्क कर दिया. ठीक है. I'll put that in the जुगाड़ solution. Again, look at question 65. I don't know what is the attempt rate इसके अंदर. शशांक एक बार बता सकते हो कितना attempt rate है question 65 में?
65 का इट्स अराउंड 45% अटेम्प्ट रेट है.
यार देखो x is equal to 4 से लेके 12 तक है. 8 या 9 वैल्यूज ही तो डालनी है. चेक कर दो यार डाल के, और उसमें भी तुम्हें पैटर्न पक्का दिखेगा. Put x equal to 4, x equal to 5, x equal to 6, x equal to 7. I'm sure you'll find the pattern, you'll get the answer. In the worst case, just put x equal to 4 to 12, all values get the answer. This is a question which should be done by 100%. Same with 66 and 68. 68 we have just discussed in the number of places. Number of cities we have discussed with respect to CAT 24 slot 3 paper. We had a similar question there. 187.5%, and the second increment is double the first increment. That was CAT 24 slot 3 paper. इसमें 166.75 कर दिया और second increment 3 times कर दिया. Yeah, so I would say this was a paper in the first half. Even in the second half, you had to be a little selective about the question you attempt or don't attempt. Baki, I have already put the jugaad or the overview of the paper as to which are the round 1, round 2, round 3 questions as per me. And the jugaad solution I'll be uploading tomorrow by lunch. Okay. I'll leave now. Okay. So I'll catch up tomorrow. Okay.
Shivku sir, even I need to leave now because I have a class.
You have a class, na? ठीक है. So I think that's we'll wrap it up. Paper was something that I think I wouldn't call it extremely tough, but if somebody had got stuck in the first 7 to 8 questions, I think they would have found it challenging because they wouldn't have had time to reach the end. Okay, so we'll stop here, and uh, that's it. Thank you, guys. Somebody was asking for Jugaad. No, Jugaad is something shortcuts that GP Sir uses, and normally for each of the mocks, he puts up some of the Jugaad wherever is relevant. So it will be a part of the analysis. Sir, in this type of where most of the questions were difficult, should we try to go for theta questions, tukka? देखो tukka I don't even count as attempt. Tukka is mil gaya to अच्छी बात है. Now what is the point of doing a tukka if you don't know whether you're going to get marks or not? So I don't think it's a strategy, Arnav. So when you say should, I mean, uh, there are going to be 6 to 7 questions that are going to be easy. There are going to be. So if you are comfortable with arithmetic, just go look at the arithmetic questions. So I wouldn't believe that there is no paper. For example, even in this paper, though it looked pretty tough, there are about 6 to 7 questions. जहाँ पे आप अब मान लीजिएगा भी had you spent the 30 minutes trying to solve the 6 questions, I'm sure you would have got the marks. So uh, where to find Piyush is saying, sir, when I attempt quant, let me when I attempt quant, I end up solving 4 to 5 questions. I usually get stuck on questions that took time, and when I attempted all the questions after the mock, I was able to solve 10 to 12 questions. So what do I do, right? I think it is important, Piyush. I don't know whether you're able to do 10 to 12 in 40 minutes or in 60 minutes or 80 minutes. But when you know that you're getting stuck, I think it's important to leave. I mean, if you can't build that habit, you will always get stuck with 5 to 6 questions. If you can't leave, I mean, do away with this habit of getting stuck with questions, you're always going to end up with only 6 to 7 attempts. It will not go beyond that. ये जरूरी है छोड़ना, questions छोड़ना. What is talking about जुगाड़? जुगाड़ is shortcuts here. I mean, somebody keep भावेश बार बार वही आप पूछ रहे हो, ठीक है? कोई group नहीं है. It's just the shortcuts that GP sir uses using his intuitive ways to solve questions, whether it's from choice or otherwise. Shantanu says, sir, in DILR, ideally, how much time should we spend in analyzing the sets before attempting? I mean, Shantanu, I don't think there is a strategy for. I mean, everybody has got horses for courses. बोलते हैं ना कि it depends on how good a horse you are, how much time you take, right? For example, when I do it, I don't spend more than 2 to 3 minutes figuring out what to do. But if it is GB takes a little time to analyze. GP sir also takes a little time to analyze, right? I go my first. I quickly run through the questions by looking at the question paper view, decide which set I'm going to start off with by just looking at the face. पढ़ता हूँ 2 मिनट में अगर हो मुझे लगता है कि पहले 2 मिनट में हो जाएगा तब करता हूँ नहीं तो छोड़ देता हूँ. So I am not going to do. I am somebody who will not take too much of strategy to spending 7 to 8 minutes trying to decide which set to do. I don't think is making sense unless somebody tells me, sir, if I spend 5 minutes, I will be able to attend 4 sets. If I spend 10 minutes and I can do only 2 sets, my question would be, why did you spend so much time trying to do it? I mean, you could have done it otherwise too. Sir, how to see जुगाड़? जुगाड़ is something analyze. जुगाड़ वो I mean वहीं पे होगा यश, right? तो अब थोड़ा ढूंढ लो माइजोन में जहां पे एनालिसिस होती है, जुगाड़ सॉल्यूशंस भी होते हैं. भावेश, there is no group called जुगाड़ solutions. In the MyZone, in the analysis section, please go look at the past papers. Jugaad may not be there in all the solutions, right? In all the question papers, it will be there in some of the question papers. जहाँ पे GP sir को लगता है कि I will actually do it. Alok says, I'm stuck at 70%. How can I score 99 in upcoming mocks? I mean, Alok, it would be very, I mean, I would say it is not a great idea to think that you will go from 70 percentile to 99 percentile. We will be in for a lot of frustration. Look at small jumps. How do we get 80 percentile in the next mock? How do we get 85? How do we get 90? Take small jumps. Otherwise, it could be a little frustrating. And moreover, it puts a lot of pressure on yourself. And hence, you will see that uh, you will end up getting lower marks than what you should. Okay, sir, how much improvement in score is possible in the next 2 months? I mean, it is anybody's gain, anybody's guess. Yash, I know people have moved from 50s to 80s scores. I've known people who moved from 90 percentile to 98, 97, 98 percentile. I don't think there is. I mean, okay, sir, I mean, it depends on how much effort you put in it. A lot of it is depending on effort. QWERTY, okay, you said I am doing everything for the last 1.5 years. Okay, so I thought I'll pick up this. Um, 1 second. Never scored more than 50. Analysis did bookmark. Okay, QWERTY, let me, I don't know which area you're comfortable with among all the three sections, right? I will give you the first. I don't know whether what I'm saying is going to work or not. It is worth the try. Next time when you're trying to take the test, keep a target of 60 marks, which means getting 20 questions right? Whether that 20 questions comes from doing one set of DI, 7 to 8 questions of quant and 8 questions of verbal, or whether it comes from 5 questions of quant, 5 questions of LRD and 10 questions of verbal, that's up to you. It depends on what is your area of strength. Start by saying that let me try hitting 60 first, right? Identify only the questions जो आप कर सकते हो, कोशिश करके देखो, right? I'm not कि I mean, देखो, when you're saying कि 50 not able to go beyond 50, my guess is, without getting to know you very well, but I'm hazarding a guess that there are some areas where conceptually you're a little weak, but find out areas where you're strong at, focus on those areas. One or two sets of DI is all you must try to do. Don't try I'm going to do all sets of DI. Get 8 questions right in DI. Get 8 questions correct in quant. Get 8 questions correct in VARC, right? तो 20 अगर आप करते हो सही, आप 60 पे पहुंचोगे, तब आपका कॉन्फिडेंस बढ़ेगा. आप टारगेट ए मत करो कि मुझे 99 चाहिए. कोशिश करके देखो. जस्ट इंक्रीमेंट, स्मॉल इंक्रीमेंट्स. Sometimes small increments can make great strides. It will help you make great strides. Anand says, sir, I can solve question when I'm doing without time pressure, but um, once in pressure, I always mess up quants, and there's always silly mistake that only happen in tests. How do I practice quant? Anand, I think it may not be a bad idea, depending on, I mean, just like what I was telling QWERTY, right? Keep small targets, right? And if you are able to, suppose I say that I want to do 7 questions right, tell yourself 7 questions सही करनी है. Identify 7 question. हो गया तो अच्छी बात है, आगे उससे ज्यादा होगा तो bonus है. If you're consistently hitting that, then it goes to, I want to get 9 questions right. 7 to 9 is a very big jump, but it needs a tremendous amount of effort. You know, you are going to be, when you do 7 questions right multiple times, आपको you get the sense of comfort कि 7 तो हो जाएगा. And CAT में 7 questions तो होंगे, हर mock में थे, इस mock में भी है. So the pressure is something that you put on yourself by deciding what is the number. But otherwise, if you say I got 5 minutes, 6 minutes to do every test, every question, why should there be pressure? And in 6 minutes, if I'm not able to do, then I think you seriously have to do something about some conceptual things. Arunabha, although I get 35 score, and I somehow pick a wrong set in between and later feel that a better decision would have given 45 consistently. How to get there eventually and select the right set? in the first place, I think 35 plus consistency is a very good consistency, Arnava. I mean, um, don't look at it as a very trivial achievement. Now the question of 45 का consistency लाने के लिए, you need to ask yourself what made you. Probably you'll have to backtrack, look at the script in your mind that made you decide what you wanted to do. There might be very genuine misjudgments. I think all of us also do that. Like, but the fact that GB talked about sunk cost. If that sunk cost idea is in your mind, I think the belief that doing three questions in three each in two sets is better than doing one complete set. If that sinks in your mind, maybe you might, because 35 is a good score, you're doing well. I maybe if you're able to do the skimming process of questions a little more judiciously, you might end up getting that for 45 plus. But I hope you're not getting stuck at questions. I just see if you are consciously, if you see if you can consciously move away from that thing. Are the mocks sufficient? Practice तो होना चाहिए. Mocks are part of the game. It is like saying कि क्या मैं can I win the World Cup by just playing practice matches? You also have to do net practice. आपके section test होनी चाहिए. You must know which are the areas of strengths, which are the areas you need to improve, which are the areas you don't intend touching, areas that you need to improve. You need to kind of push yourself, right? And thereafter, I think so. That is the element of practice that you need to do, whether doing topic tests or doing section tests. But mocks are something that is essential, that you must at least one mock every week, I feel is important. Yes. Kaustav, I think this is I know it's a very tough thing, right? Sorry, Kaustav's question was there. Sir, I'm doing everything, but I mean, this is very similar to QWERTY's question, Kaustav, right? Super stuck. And I don't know where you're stuck, whether it is at 70s, 80s, 50s, 40s. But to be able to move ahead, see if one or two, I mean, I would want some of you who are getting stuck to get crazy. I mean, you say that I don't care kind of an attitude in one of the mocks. Because sometimes the fear could be one factor. I'm not saying that's the only one factor. Fear could be one factor that's holding you back. Nameless, sir, if we diligently practice every day till November, can I crack CAT or ZAT? I mean, whether you can crack CAT or ZAT is a difficult thing for me to say, Nameless. But the fact is that if you diligent practicely, you will be able to give your possible best, right? If the best is good enough to carry you through, good. But 60 days is a long time. I mean, don't underestimate 60 to 70 days of time. Okay, guys, I think I'll stop here. Wishing you all the best for the next mock and rest of the practice. Rachel, one last question. Rachel is saying, if I were to revise portions I've completed till now, ideal month and week to start. I think, I mean, you're not going to do everything. No, I'm sure you're going to look back at questions that you have bookmarked to do revision. Don't try doing everything in book revision. It's a waste of time. Go back to questions where you got stuck, right? I mean, when I do revision, I must know, अच्छा ये वाला question पढ़ के हो जाएगा, ये हो जाएगा, ये हो जाएगा, यहाँ पे कैसे करना है याद नहीं आ रहा है. That is revision, right? Don't try to pick book and do everything. Then you don't have time to do all the revision that you did. So use your time very judiciously in revision. And I think you should start. It must be a regular process. It's not that you have time. You will start in the month of October. Every day you can say that, oh, this is a revision time. 1 hour is a revision time. Rakesh says, I was scoring average 40 plus in quant, but this time I got stuck at 40. I'm not understanding what to do. Rakesh, nothing. एक टेस्ट है. एक टेस्ट से कुछ नहीं होता है. ठीक है. मैं जानता हूं क्यों है. क्योंकि पहले जो 15 इसमें जो पहले 10-12 क्वेश्चंस थे, I think not everybody would have been able to do it. But I'm sure that by the time you hit your 15th minute, if you were getting stuck in all the questions, you would not have gone beyond 2 or 3 questions. That I'm sure would have affected your performance. But I wouldn't read too much into performance in one test. But this is a point to note that um, if you are getting stuck, what if the first 12 questions of your paper was tough? How would you approach it? You cannot approach it the way you did in this paper. That's the only thing, that's the learning that you must take from this. Out of 20 attempts, 11 correct, 9 wrong, and recent offline mock, what would you like to suggest? Is this SKP? Is this in quant? Actually, in VARC. SKP, don't reduce your attempt. Just push yourself harder. Because तुम इसको attempt को कम करोगे, तुम्हारा net score नीचे जाएगा. I think you must try to see if by virtue of picking your passages or VA questions, if you can improve your consistency or accuracy a little bit. You just have to get 2 more questions right. 13.7 doesn't look bad. 13.7 looks good. 80, that's almost literally 80% accuracy, which is very good in VRC, I feel. Rakesh, having full confidence in all questions is a great thing to have, but it would be foolish to say every question I have to attempt. You come back to it later. Nobody is denying the fact that you have all the knowledge, but to be able to skip and say कि इसको छोड़ के मैं जाऊंगा, तुम्हारे लिए ego वाला problem हमेशा dangerous है. तुम्हारे लिए, for a guy like you who's comfortable, you're going to get stuck in the ego thing. But okay, I mean, when you say that I basically do in 3 rounds, so I don't get stuck in this, right? Then I'm surprised why you got 15 in this paper. Because they were, I mean, at least 6 to 7 easy questions were there. Agar 45 plus consistency hai, just take a look at what mistakes that you did. I mean, but I would not read too much into a, not so great performance in one paper. Chalo guys, good night. Thank you.